Kia ora and welcome back to the HRPI. I'm Marie Tovio, Employment Relations Consultant, Private Investigator, and your guide to handling New Zealand's trickiest workplace situations. Today's case is the Restructure Riddle. When is a restructure justified? What does consultation really mean? And how can you stay compliant while making those tough decisions? Under the Employment Relations Act, employers can make changes for genuine business reasons: financial pressures, operational efficiency, duplication, new technology, or a change in strategy. But a genuine reason is only half the test. The process must also be fair and reasonable. The golden rule is that genuine consultation must occur before any final decision is reached. Deciding first and consulting second is notification, not consultation. Before an employer considers restructuring, they should have already considered what might be done to avoid a restructuring that could impact roles. Mention challenges to staff and seek their ideas. What might be appropriate will depend on what the situation is that has resulted in a need to consider changes. For financial pressures, for example, can you reduce staffing through natural attrition and not fill some vacancies? Can you cut other costs by making other efficiencies, such as renegotiating with suppliers or refining your offering to customers? If you've exhausted these informal options and haven't achieved the change needed, then it might be time to consider a restructure. Let's look at the usual steps of a restructure process. Step 1 is preparing the proposal. Explain the background, the business rationale, and the proposed changes in plain language. Be specific about which roles could be affected. Attach relevant information. You might want to include an organisational chart if that helps explain your proposed changes. Step 2. Provide sufficient information. Give staff the facts needed to give informed feedback. For example, summary financials, utilisation data, demand forecasts. Where information is commercially sensitive, share a suitable summary. Step 3. Invite feedback. Offer a fair time frame, generally a working week, and more for complex proposals, and options to provide feedback in writing and at a meeting. Ensure employees know that they can bring a support person or representative to any meetings related to the restructuring process. Step 4. Consider feedback genuinely. The fair and reasonable employer test requires real consideration. Summarise key points raised, what you accepted or adjusted and why. Document your reasoning. Step 5. Confirm decisions. Only after consultation closes and you've taken time to consider all input should you deliver decisions and issue outcome letters. Explain decisions clearly and outline the next steps, for example, redeployment or selection process, or maybe even redundancy. If your proposal reduces the number of the same or similar roles and redundancies may result, propose objective role-related criteria, such as based on skills, qualifications, or relevant experience, for selecting from the individual's 4 remaining roles. A restructure cannot be used to address a performance issue. You must consult on the selection criteria and draft assessments against finalised criteria before selection for remaining roles is finalised. In regards to any employee not selected or otherwise where their role has been disestablished following a restructure process, you must thoroughly explore potential redeployment options before confirming any termination of employment by reason of redundancy. Have any new vacancies arisen that might be suitable? Is there an option of offering contract work? Is there a vacancy that could suit if some training was provided? It's important to treat people involved in the process fairly. Offer meetings to discuss the details of your proposal as you've set out in the proposal letter, or to hear more about feedback provided in writing. Answer questions. Allow a support person or representative, and consider what additional support could be offered, such as confidential counselling. Communicate consistently to the wider team, and only once decisions are confirmed with those staff involved. Keep in mind your Privacy Act obligations when determining what to share. Let's take a look at an example. A regional building company faces a reduction in demand for new home builds and as a result experiences a 25% revenue drop. Management proposes removing one project manager role from the structure, explaining that they can retain their trade roles, which are difficult to recruit, take significant time to train, and that will more directly support business growth when the market recovers. The proposal includes sales figures for recent years, a forecast for the next couple of years, information about recruitment of trade roles and training costs, and an org chart. A project manager who could potentially be affected proposes an alternative idea in their feedback to expand marketing initiatives to increase sales. After analysis of the idea, it's not considered viable in the short to medium term. It would add costs and there would be no guarantee of additional sales. Additionally, extra marketing efforts had already been exhausted, and information was available to demonstrate this. The employer explains why they don't believe the idea will achieve the necessary improvement in sales in the decision meeting and in their outcome letter, and ultimately proceeds with the proposal unchanged. While this is only a summary of a restructure process up until the decision point, it outlines the types of steps, information and considerations that can arise in a fair and defensible process. Vague reasons in a proposal, like efficiency without evidence, skipping consultation with some potentially affected staff such as someone away on leave, mixing performance issues into a redundancy justification, predetermination, redundancy decisions without giving genuine consideration to alternative options, and poor records are some of the common pitfalls that I've seen in restructuring processes. So, what are today's key takeaways? 1. Genuine reason and fair process are both essential. 2. Consultation must be meaningful and occur before decisions are made. 3. Provide sufficient information for informed feedback. 4. Consider redeployment options and use objective selection criteria where the number of roles is reducing. 5. Document everything and communicate with empathy. If you're planning a restructure, I can assist with each step, such as identifying informal measures ahead of restructuring, drafting a proposal, reviewing draft selection criteria, and preparing outcome letters. This will help you keep compliant and confident. This information is provided as a general overview of key employment topics and does not replace tailored advice. Every situation is different, and the appropriate steps can vary depending on the specific circumstances. If you're unsure about how to proceed in your workplace, I encourage you to seek advice and support. Feel free to get in touch with me directly. And that brings this case file to a close. Another workplace mystery solved with process, fairness, and a little investigative flair. Mā te wā.